hello. It's been a while.
I know it's been the pandemic because I had my child at home.
Yes. Well done for successfully sharing. That was quite a Sisyphean task.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Oh dear, are we freezing?
Big rock. Are we?
Oh no. Hi.
Can you hear me?
I can now, yeah. You're back.
Okay, I'm back.
Hi.
I should be all right. Hi.
Yeah.
So yes, it was a lot. It was yes, it was a lot getting it up, and it was and it's been a long time since I've talked to you because all of my hairy time is now Tabby time. If she's at home instead of at school. Oh, now we froze again. What if I quit Chrome? What if, nope, I've got full bars. Oh no. I shouldn't have that kind of power. It's still live on Facebook. Oh dear. Oh dear. I'm gonna ruin everything. Now I'm all by myself. No, I'm still recording and I'm still live on Facebook. This is my anxious expression, people. What do I do? Should I talk? Or should I just keep trying to take?
Okay. I've returned. My Wi-Fi decided to reboot itself.
Oh, well, sure, yeah.
Yeah, but we're here.
We're here.
Okay. Are we still?
I think it says we're still live on Facebook.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good. So we don't have to do that again. Oh, I can see you there looking perplexed in the
Yes,
park.
no, that was me. I was looking past me was very concerned that I had ruined everything.
No, there we go. Right. Okay. Did you shared? Yes, I congratulated you on your sharing. Okay, cool. Right. So, hello.
Hi, Harry.
Welcome to the Naughty Autie in conversation with Kim Rhodes tonight. Hello, Kim. Yeah, I suppose Kim Rhodes is best known for her television roles as Ultra Mum, Carey Martin on Disney Channel's The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and the intrepid Jody Mills on CW's Supernatural, where she survived for 10 years. She's been passionately despised for her brief but eventful tenure as Linda Barnes on Criminal Minds, and had a glorious appearance as the first Kobali Ensign Lindsay
Ballard
on Star Trek Voyager. Cool. The last time, is that enough of a bio, or should I keep going?
No, that's fine. That's fine. You know who I am. That's all. It's me. Yeah. I'm here.
You're here. Hello. Yeah. So pretty much, like, Kim and I are going to have a chat about how life is going in the months after discovering Kim was autistic. So Kim, you and I haven't spoken in a while, so it's great to see you. And as I said before, your hair is looking like splendid.
It woke up and it shows life.
Yeah.
I'm letting it be its best self. We'll see what happens. Okay. I shaved it for most of the pandemic, and then I finally was like, I don't know, what happens if you quit shaving it? This is the longest it's been in about, I'm gonna say 10 years.
Awesome. So that's cool. You're all wild and untamed and feral and amazing. And yes. I'm wearing a semi turtleneck. So we're quite polarized, I suppose. But I relish your look more than mine right now. So awesome. So yeah, autistic, and yeah, what's going on? Like, what's that like? What's it been like?
Well, incredibly helpful, because so just to for people who may not know, I first became involved with the community, and with Harry specifically, because my daughter has a diagnosis and really is PDA. I mean, we couldn't find in the US, PDA is not well known. And so there's a lot of, it's not really autistic because she's like this, or, oh, she's not. And so people suggested I look at PDA and you specifically. And I went, oh, that it's a perfect match. And so I started talking to you and to Dr. Farahar, and you both so kindly engaged me in the process. And to the point where you were like, well, how about you explore your own neurodivergence? And I was like, oh, that's sweet. They want to include the mom in the process. And I took all the tests that you sent, and I went, oh, holy fuck. And Harry and Dr. Farhar's response were like, we didn't know you were autistic.
Yeah, it seemed perfectly obvious.
It
is now.
Now, in the light of autism, so much of my existence, it all makes sense. But I was 50 years old when I realized that I was autistic. So the parts that are so helpful are making sense of my past, understanding that, I was a famous tantrum thrower, to the point where my parents would lock me outside if I didn't quit screaming, or put me on top of a bookshelf if I didn't quit screaming, or spray me in the face with water because they couldn't figure out how to make me. Well, now I understand that I wasn't a bad over emotional child. I was having autistic meltdowns and nobody knew. I was the weird kid, really weird. And because I was different, and I came by it naturally. I was autistic. My brain worked differently. And the ache in my heart that I associate with being a child, of thinking everybody gets it and I just can't get it, always interpreted my experience interpreted that as, so I'm broken and flawed and wrong, and I will always be. And then when Dr. Farahar said, you're not a broken neurotypical, you're a perfectly fine atypical. It just, so the past has been beautifully reframed, and I've been able to forgive myself and forgive so much of the world, because it couldn't see me. So it was judging a thing that it didn't see. So I'm much better able to not take that personally anymore, and to get rid of a lot of childhood injuries. Then in my grown-up self, it helps so much just in how I communicate with other people with my needs. Instead of I realize how much of my anger is actually anxiety at not knowing how to express what I need, and frustration with myself that I can't do it. And now I just go, something as simple as yesterday when I was writing, my writing instructor said, so stop when you get to the rail. And I stopped. She said, what are you doing? I said, I stopped. And she said, when you get to the rail. I was like, I know, but my brain, I can't. I understand that there was a second part to the instruction, but as soon as the information goes in my brain, it's going through the little bloop, 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 bloop of make it happen. And I can't, it helps me when I get too much info. I said, it's like I'm working with a siphon, and as long as information is going in my brain in a processable rate, I have my needs met. But as soon as there's a clog, everything backs up. And if I keep pushing, which is what I used to do, which is, why won't you fucking figure this out? What's wrong with you? And so then it just gets more and more clogged until I explode. Or if somebody else keeps pushing, which is, what are you afraid of? There's nothing to be afraid of. Let's talk about your fear. Let's examine your fear. Why are you? And I'm like,
yeah.
Now no wordy words, no words. It's given me a skill set to understand that I can just say, my husband gets it so beautifully. I can just say, no talking. Okay. And that's it. As opposed to me trying to claw my way out of muck and mud to get a breath of air to just say, I don't know why there's an electric storm in my head right now. Instead,
Sure.
I just go, "What? Electric storm."
So you
what?
can.
Yeah.
So for you, that process, which has clearly been happening for years, is suddenly clear, right?
Yes.
And they're
Well,
more, yeah.
it is becoming clear.
Okay.
I also, because I'm an alcoholic and because I have 50 years of neurotypical bias, I still struggle with, this is the painful part, is I'm very much deeply in a struggle of, what am I?
Oh,
And that's
okay.
why I appreciate the conversation. So that's leading up to the conversation that you're having right now, which is self-identifying as autistic, because I get a lot of, when I say, because I work with atypical kids at the barn. And I had one mom just, when I said I'm autistic, she was like, no, you're not. She's like, that's because that's like saying you'll only accept I'm a car if I have a flat tire you can fix. If I'm working, then you can't see my neurodivergence. You just disappeared for a second.
I disappeared for about 30 seconds and I reappeared
Oh,
again. I don't know what is going on with my Wi-Fi. So
magic.
you were just, I think you were just about to talk about what sounded like imposter phenomenon.
Is that what it is? It's also, I feel like I am so affected by neurotypicals defining me by their standards, which are, you can't be atypical unless you're broken.
Yes.
Like,
Imposter
it's still
phenomenon.
so firmly rooted in, if you're functioning, then you're not neurodivergent.
Okay.
And I still have that. So yes, that is the extended dance remix leading up to, I'm so appreciating your dialogue right now around knowing and trusting what I am, as opposed to needing people who can't see me and don't understand me to validate me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It seems to me that people cannot picture in their minds a neurodivergent person who is, as you said, happy and functioning and kind of living life and really embracing this magical way of being, because we as a society believe that to be autistic must mean to miss out, must have accompanying poor well-being, sadness, longing for a better life attached to it. And at no point is that an integral part of autistic experience. That is just the result of being autistic in a world that doesn't get us, doesn't accept us, and yeah, views us as, I don't know, lesser. And yeah, is this needed? Shouldn't you be more like this? From the subtlest level to the most extreme level. So people can't help but feel that dysfunction and malaise and suffering have to be interwoven with
Yes.
autistic experience. But no, the suffering is the result of being autistic within the wrong parameters, in the wrong environment, around people who either don't understand us or actively try and make us something different.
Yeah. That is the discomfort. And on top of it, I find that there's so much of this in the world in general right now, that the typical standard feels completely justified in gatekeeping for the atypical. Like there are so many people that see it as a compliment when I say I'm autistic, to say, well, you don't seem autistic.
Right, okay. And the opposite is a compliment.
Like now I'm compelled to talk about what I'm like when my needs aren't met. Now I feel compelled to justify my definition of what I know so that it suits the standards of people who don't fucking have the right to define me.
Exactly.
And that has been and so that is one of the reasons that I am reticent to openly and actively say I'm autistic, because I'm so fucking sick and tired of having to then prove that I'm autistic.
Okay, so that's interesting. So does the skepticism of people reinforce your pride in your identity, or is it more likely to make you doubt your autistic identity?
It makes me doubt it.
Okay.
It makes me doubt it, which then spirals into it. You're doubting it because you spent 50 years failing to live up to a neurotypical ideal because you can't. So just my doubt should reaffirm my autistic identity, but it doesn't.
I think makes
me feel.
Yeah, I think there's a kind of process of, because we grow up with this very tenuous sense of who we are, there's a very strong need to be something or to be someone in terms of identity. And for many, many years, we may believe that who we want to be is akin to the people in our environment. But we know in our hearts that something is not quite right about that. We know that it's not right. However, we still yearn. But then the truth of who we are manifests itself as we discover that we're autistic. But there's still that fundamental need to be, right? There's the need to be is still there, because it's still echoing from a place of, well, growing up, it was confusing because I didn't know who I was, because everything about my experiences dictated that, yeah, this is clearly wrong. Something in here cannot be right. So I need to find out who I need to be. But then the autistic identity is finally presented to us, and it's like, okay, but still, there's still a fragility there. There's still a fragility there, which is the same fragility that we experienced growing up. So then someone kind of questions it, and it just boop, topples it over, and we're left with that need to be like, oh, I'm not that. Of course, I can't be that. I don't know what I am. Like it's very, very difficult to really strengthen and solidify that identity foundation, right? Because it's so easily toppled by people on the outside who think they know more about us, apparently. And we know that they don't. And yet that small voice in us says, they're right, they're right,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, everybody does experience anxiety. That like, well, then everybody's a little autistic. I'm like, no, not true. I mean, no, what you're saying is you're trying to connect and identify with my experience, but stop it. Everybody's a little bit anxious. Anxiety is not autism.
Mm-hmm.
The way my brain processes shit when it's not getting needs met manifests as anxiety. Like that's back to that, the symptom is not how my brain works. The symptom is how my brain works when it's not working.
Right. Okay.
The not working isn't autism.
Yeah.
The not working is when the autistic needs aren't met.
Exactly. The brain's kind of saying, I'm trying to do an autism. The anxiety is like the brain's way of saying, hey, I'm trying to do a fucking autism here. Let me do a fucking autism without your needless interference.
Oh my God. So we were late, which is one of my big, like, so we were late. And my daughter brought in a necklace that had to be fixed. And my brain went, zoop, must fix necklace. And and the rest of me said, fuck you, we're late, we gotta go. I don't wanna, I can, and I started fixing the necklace very angrily. And my husband came in and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm fixing her fucking necklace. And he said, you don't have to do that right now. And I just put my hands down. I looked at him and I said, and this is where the knowing I'm autistic helped. It clicked in. I said, yes, I do. I'm obsessing about this right now. Please let me fix it. And he said, is there anything I can do to help? I said, you can hit me in the head with a mallet. And he kissed me and he turned around and walked away. And I still had to fix the necklace.
Yes, I
But
feel
the rage went away. The frustration went away. The anxiety went away because I was able to go, oh, this is my brain doing an autism. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go play. Do your fix your necklace. It's fixed. Take it back in. Now we can go.
Exactly. I really feel that personally, that situation, because people would believe that the anger means that we probably need to discontinue what we're doing. It's like, no. It's not the process that's angering. It's the fact that I'm not where I need to be yet, and I can only get there through perseverance. If I step away from it, that's going to lead to more anger.
Yes, which is crazy making when you have, or at least for me, when I have 2 autistic, possibly 3 autistic people living in the same household, when
Right.
what I have to do with my PDA child is step away.
Yes.
When we hit, like, one of the beautiful things that I do for all of us is I step away at a 3 instead of at a 7, so that we can all I just have to step away. But my autism is buckle down, fix the problem, make her hair be combed now, hair, comb, brush in hair. And she's like, no, I will eat your face if you continue.
All right. Okay. So you're doing your autism, and in the moment she's doing her autism in a different way. And then, yeah, I get it. That's like putting a brick in a blender.
It's so hard. And that's one of the helpful, but this is again, how I can help the world around me, because old me didn't understand why it was so important to me that her hair be brushed. And I'm a bad mom for not being able to surrender it. And I need to try. And again, and now I'm like, oh, Kim, honey, you can't not want to do an autism. You can only step away and let it be what it is. And then yours can calm down, hers can calm down. We can come back together and find a solution.
So we go from doing an autism to being an autism kind of thing.
Yes. We both do.
Yeah. Someone asked earlier if they can ask questions, and yeah, sure, go for it. Ask questions, that's fine. So awesome. So it sounds like because obviously when we first now I was diagnosed at 14, so I find it more difficult to relate to people in adulthood who come to discover their autistic identity. And initially it's like your baby Auties, right? There's like a growing there's like a process of formative years almost. It's like you start to you realize that you were doing your autism, and now you're like, I'm consciously doing an autism now. Like, wow, there's a difference between doing an autism unconsciously with the belief that I am probably a defective NT, but yes, then there's doing an autism as a fully fledged whole autistic person, right? And it's like, okay, wow, that's suddenly completely different. It's like you're a skateboarder and you skate in a particular style, and then you change your style randomly. You're still a skateboarder, but it's like, okay, there's something completely novel about this experience now. I finally found the style, the skating style, the autism style that works for me. You know, it's the doing and autism. That's who I am, right? So, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but awesome. It's like we're, you know, so yeah, the growing pains, and there are growing pains because we can get setbacks. You know, I speak to some people who are newly identified and they feel strong, and then someone may, as you were saying before, contradict them. No, you're not autistic. And it's like, oh no, gosh, hey, I was enjoying doing that autism, you know, until that person and their shitty comment came along. So, I mean, at this point, do you find that you've been very reflective? Like, have you been looking back a lot and replaying a lot of, you know, memories from childhood, or are you more forward thinking, or both?
I'm definitely reflective because I mean, the pandemic's given me the opportunity to be reflective. I've also really enjoyed letting it fly. Like, I'm not trying to suppress the instincts that I talk with my hands. I talk with my hand. I fucking stim. I stim. But all of my life, I have molded those into just really expressive. I'm just really expressive. And now I don't care. Now I'll let it happen. Now I will make the noises out loud. Now I'm like, oh, that is not an instinct I have to repress. It is an instinct I can repress, but it comes out in other ways. So is it a choice? I don't think it is. I think it's an energetic impulse. It's gonna come out. But I'm just much more loving with how I allow those impulses to come out. I've also really been enjoying discussing with people who have known me a long time, because the majority of people, there have been one or two that are like, yeah, of course.
Right.
But the majority of people who know me well are like, really? Because you've kind of discovered an identity for yourself every 2 years for your entire life. And I'm like, no, because I'm autistic.
Yeah, that's all
but
part
then
of it.
but then when I say, well, you know, like the fact that I love this one. It was a long running joke at a convention, supernatural convention. People always say, if you could be any supernatural monster, what would you be? And I team up with Brianna, and Brianna be like, I don't know, unicorn. That sounds fun. And it's becoming a running joke because I immediately go, I don't know. Was I born this monster? Did I turn into this monster? Does my family also turn into this monster? Am I living in this world, or am I living in the supernatural world? Am I going to be able to turn back if I? And people laugh. I'm serious. That's what, and now I go, oh, that's autism.
Yeah.
I've been told I overthink all my life. I've been told I'm too loud all my life. I've been told but because it's manageable.
Well, they say we're overthinking, but to us, it's just called thinking.
Yes. What's my favorite food? What year is it? How hungry am I? Is it for dessert, or don't ask me these fucking questions. I don't know. I need more context.
No, exactly. Yeah. Because there's immediately someone throws what seems to be a simple question at us, and then our brain suddenly opens up a million different avenues of possibilities.
Other people don't do that. Like, that's the other thing. I have since realizing that I'm autistic, I have so much more sympathy for neurotypicals. I'm like, oh, because your brain doesn't think of all, like, I was telling somebody, I said, if I ask a neurotypical to get to the number 5, once they understand that's all the information, they'll probably say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm like, yes. If you tell me to get to the number 5, first I have to find 0, which is an amorphous and impossible thing to find. Then I have to figure out which direction 5 is in, and I like key lime pie, and maybe today I should do something different with my hair. And how the fuck did I end up at 17? I'm a failure. Let's go back. And then I'll just like, maybe if I swing over, what number was it I was going for? Right, number 5. I'm just going to drop, possibly break my leg, but I'll call it a success.
Wow. I don't think anyone has made getting from 1 to 5 that exciting. That's awesome. It's so true though, isn't it? I was having an interesting conversation with someone not so long ago, you know, and it was something along the lines of, is 1 + 1 2, or is 1 + 1 2 ones alongside each other? And that blew my mind.
When I tried to explain subtraction to my daughter, and I understood what her point was, where I was like, there's 5 pennies. I take 2 pennies, I put them over here. Now, how many pennies are there? She said 5. Like, no. In this, she said 1. There's just 5, 1. There's only 1 penny. She still can't grasp the actual, we have to move on a number line for her to do subtraction, because then there's movement involved. But if I just say something goes away, she's like, no, no, subtraction is not mathematically possible. I defy your subtraction. And I'm like, kid's got a point.
Yeah, she does. I can't fault that logic. My 7-year-old son says 1 + 1 = 2 ones. Yeah, it's true. It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Is there anyone that doesn't? Let's have a look at what people are saying. Asking questions seems to equal overthinking. Yes. So I can remember going to see like a doctor.
Oh yeah.
And I'd want to know, you know, what's going on. And then they say, relax, calm down. I'm like, that's not what I asked. Like, I'm now not calm and unrelaxed.
Yes.
On the basis, 1, you've told me what to do, and 2, you literally didn't answer my question. You know, why does that seem to be the go-to response to, yeah, can you actually let me know what's wrong with my body, please?
Yeah.
So that's an irritating one. Yeah. So what made you seek out a diagnosis? Oh, it's not necessary, you know. Self-identifying is perfectly valid, as I was saying in my post yesterday. What was I saying? As society becomes more tolerant and inclusive of variations in human experience, we cease to pathologize what are just harmless expressions, right? So that's the problem. As we were alluding to earlier, there is a sense that, oh gosh, being autistic has to be medical, because being autistic is synonymous with being diagnosed at a time everything is going wrong in our lives. You know, that is often as well what leads people to discover their own identity. It could be the sense of, okay, I don't fit in, or what's going on, nothing is going right for me. So that's the thing. It's kind of lumbered with stigma and assumptions that suffering has to be central to autistic experience, on the basis that, yeah, it's
There's also over here, diagnosis is completely tied to support. So if I say my needs aren't being met, but I look fine, I will not receive support. Whereas if I have a diagnosis that medically proves my needs aren't being met, I can find support needs. I can find support for my needs. So I can't say I have to take a break because I'm having, because I've now lost the capacity to speak, without having people tell me I'm over dramatic or oversensitive, or why didn't you calm down, or maybe you should get more sleep. But if I have a doctor's note that says I'm autistic, the second I say I need to take a break, everybody goes, oh yeah, okay, go ahead and take a break. So I think it's also part of living in a society that still hasn't validated meeting people's needs as a priority. Does that make sense? Like, we don't see just people deserving to have their needs met because we believe there are finite resources and we can't waste them on you just being happy for being happy's sake. You have to prove to us that you're broken in order for us to give you what you need to be fixed.
And prove that you're really broken, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you're kind of a little bit broken, then you get the whole suck it up spiel, you know. And obviously, you talking as an alcoholic, and myself too, I can remember struggling long before I was completely unable to function, you know, before my life spiraled out of control. But also living in the UK, we are huge binge drinkers as a nation. And so it's very, very difficult to distinguish a person who goes out on the weekend and, just drinks themselves into oblivion because they're doing it recreationally, or the person who has this almost pathological need to escape reality, and who cannot possibly curtail their actions the moment the shark tastes the blood, you know. So it's like, right, okay, I can remember thinking, right, okay, at this point things are okay in a very fucked up societal sense, and my complaints aren't going to be valid until I am unconscious in the gutter, covered in my own vomit. And even still, you know, it's very, very difficult for people to understand that, oh yeah, perhaps this is actually a little more serious than just a person who doesn't understand their limits when they go out and binge. So there's that too. There's, okay, the children at school are wreaking havoc and being destructive to themselves and other people, and have rapidly deteriorating mental health, and are unable to leave their bedroom or something like that before, perhaps we need to get them assessed. But it's like, no, why do we have to get to the point of abject trauma before people can recognize that? And this is why it's like, okay, it's no wonder you cannot dissociate autism from suffering, because we have to kind of be autistic and suffer greatly before, okay, that person needs help. I got really angry in a school, in a meet, not a school meeting, well, it was a kind of school meeting not so long ago. The individual was talking about how the child in question, their suffering needed to be evidence. Is that we have no evidence that they're suffering yet. And it's like, and I got really angry, you know, and I couldn't control my impulse at that point, and had to tell that person how it is, because I was just so utterly frustrated, because it's like, this is the exact problem. You have to wait until, do you know what it reminds me of? ADHD tangents here. You know, when the Titanic sank and the people in the lifeboats, some of them were saying, maybe we need to wait until things quieten down before we go back and help. It's like, okay, so you're waiting until they're half dead. That's basically what you're saying, because there aren't enough lifeboats and people are struggling in the icy water. And if you wait a while and things get quieter, it literally means that people are going to die. You know, it reminds me of that kind of situation. Kind of wait until things are really, really, really bad before you can acknowledge that, hey, something is fucked up here.
Yes. Yes. How far in do you want to shove the knife?
Yeah.
The pointy part hurts. Does it actually have to hit an organ before you acknowledge that this needs to change?
Exactly.
Acknowledge what it is. And this is a big, I see this in all communities that are not the top of the power structure right now, that are saying we shouldn't have to die to deserve life.
Oh God.
That's why, and yet there's this idea that that there's finite amount of being okay. So if we share some of that being okay with undeserving communities, then those of us who deserve to be okay, as defined by the traditional power structure, we aren't going to be okay. And it makes me, because all I need to be okay is to be fucking left alone some days.
Yeah, exactly. Because then by the time we reach the point of abject trauma, then by the time people may intervene and attempt to support us, the support is geared towards making us more normal. You know, so it's like we can't escape. It's just pushing the autistic self underneath into submission more and more and more. So it does feel like a part of your spirit is on death row. It's like a part of your spirit is being hunted down by society in order to be extinguished. You know, that's what I remember feeling like that at school. I remember I'd often say, I'm going to the gallows, you know, every day I'm going to the gallows, because it feels like a part of you has merited a death sentence on the basis you exist.
Like, I'm a threat because I have different needs than you do. Like, somehow there's this established idea that saying what suits a neurotypical doesn't suit me somehow threatens the neurotypical. So me saying I have different needs than you do implies to them that I'm saying their needs are being met wrong and they need to change. I'm like, no, I'm not. You do you. I'm asking you to let me do something different and to maybe create an environment where we can all get our needs met. And that's not, you know, why are you're just like that idea that claiming to be autistic is a demand for attention. Like, I'm actively taking away your focus and putting it on me by telling you who I am. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing.
How am I a threat to you?
Yeah, I can't remember whose quote this was, but it was kind of those who are accustomed to privilege view equality as oppression. You know, that they have to compromise feels as though, well, it's scary and unfamiliar. Like, what do you mean I have to do things slightly differently? You know, I've been in situations post understanding that I'm autistic, where I've kind of had a choice: either be amongst them, mask, or destroy the event for everyone else, because that would be in my nature, you know, or don't even attempt to participate. But then I can remember speaking to a member of the group, and they said, it sounds like you want to make it all into what you want it to be. And I'm like, no, you're saying that because you are unaccustomed to the idea that you may have to be inclusive of more neurotypes than just one, you know. But even still, my instinct is actually, no, I can't be bothered. You do your neurotypical, I'll do my autism, you know. So then it gets it gets quite depressing at that point. Yeah.
I noticed, I just had a convention, the first convention since really realizing that I'm autistic. And it was the kind that you just basically sign autographs and talk to people. That's all. There isn't a lot of stage questions or anything like that. And for me, it was interesting because I was actually better able to show up for the neurotypicals because I knew what I was doing. Because when, for me, I love this idea that we're not empathetic. I'm so empathetic that I don't know where they end and I begin. So when someone is having an extreme emotional experience in front of me, I feel it in my body. I feel it in my heart. I am so, and at the same time, I'm trying to remember what I should be doing with my face. Like, wait, what is my face supposed to be doing in this moment? What is, but now that I know that that's completely in sync for me, I was able to connect with people emotionally, to be like, okay, we're going to have some deep eye contact and you're going to feel like I'm sucking out your soul, because that's what I'm doing. That's what we do when we're going to get, and then I could stop. I could put it down and go, that's my autism. I'm going to go stand behind this curtain and lean on a wall for a second. And I could give that to myself, as opposed to stepping away and being like, I don't understand what's wrong with me. Why am I so emotional? Why am I just, I'm the girl who cries all the time. I was just like, no, this is my autism. It's kind of a superpower. So as long as I see what it is, I get to deal with it on my terms, and the neurotypicals can fucking come to me. And then I walk away.
Preach.
No.
Someone has asked a couple of times, and I will address the question now. Do you wish you could have been diagnosed younger?
And here's where my brain comes in. I'm like, if anything about my past were different, I don't know how I would be me. So for me to wish that something in my past were different would be for me to wish that me right now would be different. And I do not wish that. I am grateful for who I am. I love the fact that my discovery came with the gift that is my daughter. I think that if I had found out earlier, I wouldn't have this relationship with Harry. I think that, are there things that would have been easier in my life? Maybe, but I don't know. All I know is that right now, I am incredibly grateful for who I am and uncovering that. And I think that everything is exactly how it should be, because that's how it is. So, I know that that is not the answer that you probably wanted, requester, but that's the authentic answer that my brain comes up with. And this is what I'm talking about. When I'm asked a simple question, my brain is like, but quantum physics. You wish things were different? No, because then I wouldn't be me.
Yeah. I am kind of weirdly attached to my lowest moments as I observe them on the shelf of memory. You know, they're kind of there, and as you said, as cliche as it sounds, they've made me who I am today, even prior to understanding what the hell was going on. I think I needed that ignorance, that self-ignorance, because it actually, I think, is like a prequel to what's coming up. Because before you have being autistic as the ultimate explanation for why you are the way you are, it's like before then, part of me was trying extra hard to work out what's going on. And because of that, it really initiated this process of self-analysis. You know, before then, it's like, what could it be? What could it be? What could it be? And you build that muscle of what could it be? And I sometimes think if I was diagnosed really young, I wouldn't have tried so hard to understand myself, if that makes sense. Because before I had the ultimate explanation, my autistic brain, my unconsciously autistic brain, was trying its hardest to really, really get amongst the details and unpack them and explain the fucking shit out of them. And then being autistic at the right time is like, okay, now I've kind of built the muscle of self-analysis and it's clearer than ever, right? It's like digging the pool before you fill it with water, kind of thing.
I like that. And I earned the question, so the answer is precious.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You feel like, wow, you truly have earned, you know, that moment when it's like all clicks into place. Like, yeah, I've been preparing for this. I've been paving the way, you know, I've been digging the well, and here it is. So yeah, that makes total sense. Awesome. Those lowest moments shine the brightest light on what we are made of, maybe. The most learning. Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, certainly derived the most wisdom from those darkest moments, and for that reason I'm grateful. You know, being autistic, we're going to take the scenic route, and that means that we're going to probably bypass a lot of bullshit that school are trying to shove into our minds, and we're going to have to find new ways of acquiring information, knowledge, wisdom, blah, you know, yada yada. So yeah, and that's going to involve a lot of not bad experiences necessarily, but experiences that really challenge us. And it is within the experience nuggets of wisdom are yielded. So yeah, I'm kind of weirdly attached to them for that reason. It's like, yeah, I learned that because that period in my life was awful. So it's a silver lining in the cloud kind of thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. The scenic route is the most beautiful. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, awesome. Gosh, what else could we talk about for the next 10 minutes or so?
I don't know. I was just being quiet in case anybody had any questions.
Oh yeah, so I can have a look through some questions, and if that's another reminder for people to ask questions if you have them. I'll scroll up. We all become philosophical psychologists. Yeah, we kind of do, don't we? School trains us to be subservient, yes, and we say fuck that. If anyone prevents you from doing an autism, fuck them off. That's the thing. You've got to ask you, can I do an autism here? Can I do an autism here? If not, fuck it off. Do you feel like you're better at acting because you're autistic? I think someone asked that last time, but
I feel like now in retrospect, I feel like I became an actor because I'm autistic, because I craved a high emotional experience, but I also craved it safely. And I know that, again, there's probably a lot of people that crave this, but it was so, it was like drinking water finally, to be like, oh, I can be extreme and you only get to respond to me the way the script says you will. Like we literally have scripts. It was wonderful. And I could ask, is this expression okay? And there would be a director who would tell me if the way I wanted to express myself was acceptable or not. Heaven. And then as I became more adept at it, I learned the sense of community and magic and reciprocation that comes when I offer a part of myself, but I'm doing it safely because I didn't have to make up the words. I didn't have to so it was, yeah, I think it was a wonderful outlet for my autism. And it really helped me explore my own emotional capacity in a safe environment.
Sure. Right. That makes total sense. And to follow on from that, someone said, I thought acting was just how one was supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, so there's that sense as well of, oh, it's almost like many of us feel like we have to act no matter what. But it's interesting though, because I'm not an actor, but I'm something of a performer, I guess. And I view PDAs as performance artists, in their soul, so a lot of the role play stuff and the fantasy stuff, it's like, okay, that could be a form of masking, but actually that's such an authentic expression at the same time. To shapeshift is an expression of the PDA essence, right? And very much yours too.
Yes, I have. There's a lot of talk about unmasking.
Right.
And I am such a passionate believer that no one should feel compelled to be inauthentic. But at the same time, I know that my masks are not lies. I'm
Right.
not lying to you when I'm masking. What I'm doing is I'm picking a language that will most facilitate what I want to communicate to you. Like, it doesn't serve me to try to connect with a person and not, if I am capable of doing so, choose a method that is the most palatable for them. If what I have to say, if it's important for me to connect with you, and that's my goal, then if I have the toolkit to put it in a package that you will say, "What a lovely message. I choose to receive this." You do yourself a disservice to be just like, "Blah, take this. It's my message." Um, so I don't think a mask is inherently a bad thing. I think it's a tool. It's just, am I making the choice to use the tool, or am I welded into the tool by society's expectations of me?
Right. Okay. And I don't suppose it is a bad thing when it's a bit like the question, oh, is anxiety wholly detrimental? But it's like, well, if we think about what these things are, they actually serve to keep us alive, kind of. It's not nice to experience because it's meant to feel, anxiety is meant to feel uncomfortable because it's like
Yep.
the anxiety is like, hello, I'm trying to move you away from the danger now. Okay, cool. But then the mask has a similar kind of developmental process in that, whoa, okay, something happened, and yeah, that whole raw, vulnerable, authentic thing you did may be dangerous next time around. And so here is the drive to modify yourself in order to fit in. But then there could be another route to what you were just speaking about, right? There could be another thing there could be a more organic appreciation for I don't know, what would it be? It's a more organic expression to it. So there's also context shifting, which is kind of like perhaps a person who was born overseas returns to their home country to see their family, and they're not the same person as they are when they're in England or the United States, right? You know, so it's a matter of context shifting. Or I was speaking to someone earlier and I said, yeah, I've got a group on my page which is dedicated to really dark humor, you know, but I'm not going to be that filthy, you know, wretched individual all the time. You know, sometimes I'm going to be speaking to someone about a special interest, and within that dynamic, no dark humor is required. And which one is more me? Is it more me to, you know, just say really controversial stuff for the purposes of shocking people, or is it me to be totally swept up in the thrill of being able to speak to another autistic person about this fairly anodyne special interest, you know? So which one is me? Well, they're both me, right? They're both me.
Yes.
They're both me. Neither are masking. Neither is a mask. They're both authentic expressions, albeit very different. And then there is the tendency too, because I was constantly jumping in and out of characters when I was growing up, you know, and I was still being me, even though I was being someone else in that moment. There was no masking going on because there was the process itself was organic. The process itself was authentically expressive, right? So I think it's an important distinction to make.
Thank you. Oh, did you just freeze?
No.
Oh, no, there you are.
We all wear hats to suit us, not masking, but just being. Yes. I have fulfilled many different roles. Okay, cool. All right, it's 9 p.m. precisely. Awesome. Maybe we'll take a couple more questions. Yeah. Masking is when we sense, it jumps a lot, is when we sense trauma-inducing potential in our midst. Yeah, that's the thing. I think, to me, masking, there's two components to it. One is protective and the other is about goal orientation. So perhaps,
Yes.
you know, so it's kind of, my analogy for this is like, it's like trying to reach for a jewel in a thorn bush. You're going to want to put a glove on, right? Otherwise you're going to get scratched. and cut. So that's perhaps the autistic child in school or the autistic adult in the workplace. There's something about the workplace that is compelling enough to get the autistic person in there, but it's largely a hostile environment. So there's something which could be, oh, it's the social group. That's the jewel, whilst everything else is completely a nightmare, right? So I view masking as having those two components. But then, yeah, then there's another more innate part of us which just loves to express ourselves through a variety of different roles. Yes, I don't see any more. It does always go fast. Yeah, this flew by. Awesome. Okay, this has been edifying, very nutritious. I love the word nutritious. There's something, oh gosh, do you know what I mean? It's,
you did good.
Yeah, we did. Thank you for sharing and communicating and being. Oh, thank you for watching, Tim Bartlett. Okay. I guess I hate goodbyes. I find goodbyes really difficult, you know, like.
Well, we don't have to do it then. I would like to thank you. I would like to thank you, however, for this is really the first, this is a testament to what an autistic community can do for the baby autist, for the process, because I don't get to talk. I don't have anybody else. There it goes. I don't have other people to talk to like this.
Kim, you can talk to me anytime. You know that.
I know. I thank you. And I do know that. And I think I didn't realize that I needed it until I had it.
Yeah, you know, we're here. We're your Autie family, and you know, we love you. We love your autistic self, and it's wonderful. You know, like we're here, we're discussing stuff, and look how happy everyone is. It's amazing.
So there, I will say thank you, but you don't need to say goodbye. Should I just hang up so you don't have to?
Well, I'm going to end the live stream.
Okay.
We're going to have a post-match chat.
Yes, please.
Okay, awesome. So there we go. I'm going to press end now. Thanks everyone for tuning in.